Hello everyone, it is Christian here from the Calcio Bros, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I did originally want to do a Champions League review based on the group stages on Friday, but because of some scheduling issues I couldn't be able to do that, and today was going to be the usual Serie A plus Champions League, but then I'm like, that's just going to get too much, and especially with the midweek game, then weekend game, it's just going to be all over the place. So I thought today I would just focus on the Champions League group, discuss my thoughts on all the teams involved and what's going on, and as well as the knockout round fixtures as they were just announced and what I think on that. So I'll get right to everything, what I feel or how I feel about every team in their group, how they did, what they, I guess how we saw, like how they improved, I guess, in um, throughout the games, or how they should have done much better. A lot to talk about in some instances, and certain teams as well, and everyone I think knows who I'm talking about there, and I'll get right into that shortly. But before I start, I know I also did a solo video for Diego Maradona when he passed away, and recently we had Paolo Rossi depart us as well. And I know I feel like I should do another video on that, but again, with a lot of time constraints, and it's just tough with such a different work schedule. I don't have as much time as I said, so I just thought I'd give a quick mention here to Paolo Rossi, as he does live in all the hearts of Italians, as he did help us win our third World Cup in 1982, the hero of that World Cup, one of the only few footballers to win the Golden Ball. I believe it was the Golden Ball, Golden Boot, and the Golden Shoe, all in 1 year. And forever known as Pablito, he inspired many Italians up and coming through the ranks. So I just thought I'd say a few words. And again, he's one of those players I wish I saw played back in the day. Unfortunately, I'm still too young for that time. So okay, so we will get right into this now. So I will talk about each group and each team, uh, and what we saw based on the results that happened. So going in order, we're going to do the worst one first, and that is Group B, and that is Inter's group, and they had such a disappointment in this group. They did not win a single home match. They did not. Sorry, yes, they did not win a single home match, and they finished last in their group stage for the first time in their history in the Champions League. And it's not what anyone would have seen coming at all. In a group that had Real Madrid, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Shakhtar Donetsk, a lot of people would have thought Inter, even myself, Inter would have at least maybe finished second in this group. And it did not happen. Like, they really struggled throughout the entire group, and it showed. They lost or no, we'll put it this way. They started off the group just escaping in the sense of, or actually, no, sorry, yes. Like, the game against Mönchengladbach was something where the first game they tied 2-2, and it kind of helped them out in some ways. It wasn't a bad way to get started, but I know Inter would have wanted to get the victory there. And then it's the game against Shakhtar the next day in the Ukraine, where they could not at all break past the goalie. He was just saving every shot left, right, and center. He kept the team in it and managed to salvage a point for Shakhtar. Then they had the two games against Madrid. And the first game where finished 3-2 at the Bernabeu was a very close game. Both teams played very sloppy. I feel if Inter had Lukaku in that game, he could have made much more of a difference. Inter did do well coming back from being 2 goals behind, but they just managed to concede very late in the second half. They and again, like I said, that's a game where I feel it could have ended in a draw. Those 3 points, or we'll say 2 points dropped, really did hurt them, because they could have really tried to play for something else against Shakhtar. The next game they lost at home to Real Madrid 2-0, and that really hurt them. They managed to get their first win on the fifth match day against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and one thing is, though, they almost let it slip away. If Playa had scored in the last minute, but it was ruled offside, and that kept Inter's hopes alive. All they needed was a win in their last match day, and hope results went their way. They basically biscottoed themselves. They did not need a draw, they needed a win. They ended up drawing and finished last. And Conte, who asked for all these players, he asked Perisic, returning, and they kept him. He asked for Hakimi. He asked for Eriksson, this from last year, Kolarov. He asked for Vidal. He asked for all these players. They asked him to keep Sanchez as well. And where did that lead them? In an utter disappointment. Conte also has a player who can create chances and who was one of the best players at Tottenham in Christian Eriksen, and decides to bring him the 85th minute, 80th minute, when there's only 10 minutes left in the game. Conte really ruined his team in the sense he didn't know when to make changes. He made them either too late or not at all. Should have started players who he needed to play, but decided against that. And it's his coaching that really costs Inter. And he's also a coach where he does not do well with minimum day preparation. He has to have a full week to fully prepare a side, which to me is absurd, because every coach should be able to adapt in this situation, be able to really figure things out on the fly, especially in a short amount of time. But he can't do that. He basically just cost his team a chance, and that really showed, because they did not really deserve to go forward considering how terrible they played. So again, I just don't even know the words to describe it, because it was just utter crap. I'm not even an Inter fan, and just watch it, like, it's just, you're looking at them just like, how they're much better than this, and it's just terrible. Again, I put most of the blame on Conte, and then he decides to put blame on others. The referee didn't do this, or the players. No, it's your fault. Take the blame and move forward. But no, you can't do that. You have to blame other people. To me, it's absurd. My God. But anyways, they finished last and just completely cost themselves. Now they have the Serie A and Coppa Italia to focus on. Let's see how well they do in that, considering how much more rested Inter will be. They can't be, if they're caught there, then it's going to be a waste of a season for Conte, and he should be sacked if they can't achieve anything from what they have left. Moving on to Group D, and that is Atalanta's group, where they also had Liverpool, Ajax, and Midtjylland. Now, this was definitely going to be a bit of a test for Atalanta. They want to progress for the second time, and they were hoping they can do just that. They opened up against Ajax in a tie where they actually did manage to come from behind. It was very well done from them, especially at home. They're going to beat Midtjylland as a next round to get their first win of the group stage, which is a good result for them. But then they lost 5-0 at home to Liverpool, and you would think it kind of put them in a bit of an awkward situation to qualify. But then you see them go and win at Anfield the next game after 2-0, which was a huge result for them. Definitely great momentum. And then on the fifth day, they tied Midtjylland, and again, that sort of put a bit of a damper on their qualification chances, considering the way it is, but it wasn't too bad as they still led Ajax, and all they had to do was either win or draw in the next round, and they just managed to do just that. And also, considering there was a bit of an altercation between the Papu Gomez and Gasperini during the Michelin game where he was taken off, Papu Gomez was taken off at half, and there's rumors of Papu Gomez leaving. I wonder how that would be. He's been one of the faces of this Atalanta side who have defied expectations over these last few years and helped them qualify for a second consecutive year in the Champions League to the knockout rounds. If he leaves, I don't know how it's going to be hard to replace him, or maybe a little bit easy. It'll be tough to say depending on they have done an excellent job in their scouting network. But I do want to give credit to Atalanta. They managed to get where they need to go, have only one loss this time in the group stage, and much well improved from last year. And they are definitely going to have a bit of a tough test because now with the playoffs now set, they will be going on to face Real Madrid. So that's definitely another big game for them. It's honestly crazy. A team like Atalanta playing Real Madrid. It's something you don't really see that often, but I feel the way that Atalanta can play, if they can play at their best, they can really put up a fight against a team like Madrid. And I know they did beat Liverpool, but Liverpool, I do want to say, we're missing a lot of their starters through injuries and whatnot. But still, credit to Atalanta for going there and beating Liverpool at Anfield, because that has been very tough to do. But I feel that with the way Madrid has been very shaky this year, and they have been very inconsistent, they could take advantage. Even if they get a slender win in a game, that's still an achievement in itself. So this is going to be a huge test for Atalanta, and if they can go further than that, kudos to them, because if they continue to believe they can go forward, they can absolutely do it on their best day. They are probably the dark horse, I want to say, of the Italian teams going forward. They definitely have nothing to lose if they try. Like, they are an incredible squad. Moving on to Group F, which belongs to Lazio, and they have Borussia Dortmund, Club Brugge, and Zenit in their group. Now, Lazio did have a bit of difficulty in this game, mainly because in their second and third match day, they had a lot of players missing because of injuries and COVID diagnosis. So they did miss a lot of key players, but they did manage to get positive results, and they were actually the only team out of the 7 playing that did not lose a single game in the group stages. So kudos to them. They opened up with a win against Dortmund. They go on to draw their next 2 games against Club Brugge and Zenit. Then they went on to draw again against. They go on to beat Zenit after that. They went on to draw Dortmund and Club Brugge in the last 2 remaining games. Now, Lazio really cut it close because on their last day, all they needed was a win or a draw to advance to the knockout phases. And considering that they were just inches away from being eliminated, and I say that because in the dying seconds of the game, Club Brugge hit the crossbar where Reina had no chance to get it. And Club Brugge were also in 10 men for a lot of that game, and considering they played well, where they could have got the victory, that really put Lazio to the test, and it did seem like certain parts of the game Lazio did shut off, and it really, really got them close, but Lazio managed to hang on. I know they would have loved to get finished first in their group, but it did, it didn't happen. What are you going to do? I feel those drop points against Zenit and Club Brugge earlier on could have helped them if they got something, but it's tough when you're missing a lot of players anyways, but for the first time in almost 20 years, they managed to progress to the knockout rounds, and it's big credit to Simone Inzaghi and the work he's put into this Lazio team. It is incredible. Now let's see how much more he can push his side, but the one struggle they are going to have now, as the team they have been drawn against in the knockout round is reigning champions Bayern Munich. So not the game, or not the, yes, not the opponent that Lazio would have wanted to play against going into the knockout rounds. It'll definitely be a huge test for them, because if they can beat Bayern, they'll have the confidence to beat anyone going forward. They really have to play to their highest standards if they want to get a positive result from these teams. They really have to play at their best. And considering if they can beat Bayern Munich and get them off their high horse, they can do it. They can continue to push against these other teams. So really watch out for them if they can. So we are going to move on to the last group in the Champions League, and that is Group G, which is Juventus, Barcelona, Dynamo Kiev, and Ferencvaros. Now, I won't focus too much on the games between Dynamo Kiev and Ferencvaros because they're fairly routine wins for Juve. I'm going to just focus on the games against Barcelona. Now, Juve struggled a bit the first game. They did have 3 goals disallowed for offside when by Morata, but they were offside. Barcelona went and beat Juventus 2-0 at the Allianz Stadium. So, and going into this, both teams were winning every game, and Juve on the last day, they were already qualified, but if they want to finish first, they had to beat Barcelona by more than what they had beaten them at home, or what Barcelona had beaten Juventus before, and that happened. They beat Barcelona 3-0 thanks to a Ronaldo brace from penalties and a lovely McKennie strike. Now, the first game Barcelona played well. Juve weren't at their best, but now I don't want to say Juventus played superb. Like, they played very well, defended well, and they did deserve their victory. But they did also take advantage of a terrible Barca who are going through some of the worst form in their history. It was one of the worst runs right now, and they fully took advantage of that. And credit to Pirlo for taking credit and really managing to not give Barcelona much in that game. And considering the only player to have shots on target against Buffon was Messi, all 7 shots, that's telling you something. But Messi also creates space for himself to take his own, because it's not like his teammates were very useful that game anyways. But Barcelona weren't the same Barcelona that did win against Juve the game before, and vice versa. It wasn't the same Juve that we saw. They are starting to pick up some momentum, but if they can be more consistent going forward, then they can really push and maybe break their curse of losing at every final in the Champions League. So they would really hope that go in their match, because they are actually playing Porto away first, and they hope to really stand out against Porto, get crucial results that they need, because Porto, they're definitely not a a very tough. I don't want to say tough. They are a very tough team to play against, but they're not a weak team either. They're not a weak team. But they're not a high, like, Barcelona. I just said Barcelona, but a Real Madrid, a Bayern Munich. They're not those sort of teams, but they can still give other teams issues, and Juve would really have to watch out and be sure playing against a team like that. Alright, so that is my review for the Champions League. I'm going to be moving on to the Europa League quickly, as there are, again, only 3 teams there. Be sure to let me know what you guys think about the Champions League if I didn't miss anything. Honestly, it's kind of tough doing over a midnight shift, but I'm just trying to do my best here. So let me know if I did miss anything and your thoughts on the group stages for those teams or their knockout round fixtures. Alright, moving on to the Europa League. So only 3 teams again because it was we only have a smaller amount of teams in. So all 3 teams in the Europa League also did top their group, so that is an incredible achievement on their part. So they also go and play against unseeded teams. So we're going to start off with Group A, which is Roma's group, which had Young Boys Cluj and CSK Sofia. Roma pretty much breezed through this game. The only setbacks they had were a draw against Sofia, and then basically the loss when they had already qualified and clinched first in their group. And it's concerning that they did not beat Sofia at all in this group. But anyways, it was a good step in the right direction. And in their last 2 games, especially in the win against Young Boys and the loss against Sofia, they did have young players in Calafiori and Milanese scoring goals for them. So it's actually great to see the younger players scoring in European competition. Does give them a whole boost of confidence. I know in the last game, Roma pretty much played their Primavera team anyways. And it's funny because that match against Sofia is also Roma's first loss on the pitch as well. As we know, um, they had the default loss against Verona because of an unregistered player. So again, this was their first loss on the pitch. But anyways, they didn't really care because they already qualified and finished first. And again, it wasn't even that bad of a group considering. So Roma again got their job done, and they drew Braga in the first game playing away. Um, a tough Portuguese side for sure. I feel they shouldn't give Roma too many issues, but they can always be a team to change it up, mix things, and give a lot of teams definitely some trouble when they do play at home. So I feel Roma should be able to not breeze through this, but should be able to advance with a good, a comfortable result. I want to say, but I don't want to say it's too easy for them. But I know it is a game where I know Roma can advance if they can play to their capabilities and deny Braga any chances of going forward. The next group here is Group F, which is Napoli's group, and they had Real Sociedad, AZ Alkmaar, and Rijeka. Now, Napoli, I don't want to say struggle, but it didn't look good as they lost their first game to AZ Alkmaar at home, and there's a point where they did not look like qualifying in some sense. They managed to win their next 3 games, and that did put them in a solid position. They drew their last 2 games and managed to finish first in their group as results went the other way because of a AZ Alkmaar loss also on the last day, which would have seen them go second instead. So it was really good for Napoli to pick things up. They did get a huge win away, especially to Real Sociedad, so that was definitely a result they needed. They picked up results even at home against Rijeka. That was the day they were honoring Maradona as well. But Gattuso really managed to turn things around in this group after an embarrassing defeat at home, and you would hope that there is much going forward. They drew Spanish opposition's Granada, and now this should be a game where Napoli, again, they should not have too much trouble with Granada. They can definitely be a tough side, but I do feel Napoli will be too strong and can definitely advance and maybe push in towards farther in this competition if everyone plays to their best. Moving on to Group H in the last group here, which is Milan. They had Lille, Sparta Prague, and Celtic in their group. Milan opening up with wins against Sparta Prague and Celtic, but then their undefeated streak of 28 games came to an end in all competitions as they lost to Lille 3-0 at the San Siro, and that was also their biggest defeat in at home in any European competition. So that's really telling you something. But Milan managed to bounce back and with a draw against Lille and then 2 wins against Celtic and Sparta Prague, and because Lille lost on their last game against Celtic, that helped Milan push forward and finish first. That definitely would have that definitely helped them as they did draw Cervena Zvezda or Red Star if you want the other name, but better opposition or one of the easier draws for Milan that they did need. They probably really did need that going forward. If they did finish second, they would have gone on to face Ajax, so that would have definitely been a much trickier team to face for Pioli's side. But definitely they enjoyed this. They enjoyed the draw, and they hope to advance. As again, the Europa League is the only trophy that they do not have in their trophy cabinet, so they would be hoping to push on, still running on their great form in Serie A, and hoping they can continue their run and maybe like I said, possibly get a win here. So that was my thoughts. I know I kind of wish I did better, but not the best time to do a video here, but I just decided to anyways before anything else comes up and I won't be able to discuss it. Let me know what you guys think about these group stages from the Champions League and Europa League. Now, how far do you think some of these teams can go? I know, again, the Champions League, there are much tougher opponents, as we saw, Atalanta and Lazio probably getting the shorter end of the stick there. Milan getting an easy draw. I want to say Roma, Napoli, and Juve getting, I would say, pretty good draws, but not great, like the perfect draws for them. So those are going to be tests. I feel Atalanta could manage a good result, even if it's not a win. But if they can get something on the away goals, hey, they're going to take that because they can advance, right? Same with Lazio, but it's always going to be tough. I do want to see good football from these teams. I really hope they can make Italy proud, and hopefully we can see a lot of these teams advance. So again, let me know what you guys think. Be sure to comment below. Let me know on all your thoughts for the Champions League and Europa League here. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel for more Calcio content and click the bell to receive notifications on all our latest videos. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Calcio_bros, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Ciao!